Webull is one of my favorite brokerage apps, but there's something that you need to know. Webull is lending out your stocks and they're making money on it. But don't think it's a Webull problem. Oh no, Robinhood does it, so does Public, so does Stash. They lend out your shares to short sellers, and in return, they get a little bit of an interest and they make money. After all, most of these brokerages are commission free. And in order to make some money, they gotta do something. And this is one of the ways they do that. But see, the thing is, Webull has a different approach. What they do is they actually turn that around and share some of the interest with you. And that's what we're gonna talk about in today's video. Now, most of the brokerages, they just pocket all the money themselves. But Webull shares just a little bit, don't get excited, but a little bit of that money with you. We are gonna talk about the Webull Stock Lending Program in this video. Here's what we're gonna cover. What this actually means to you and how short selling actually works. How you can make the money based on the interest. And be sure to stick with me until the end because I am gonna share if this is actually a wise decision to make for a couple bucks or if you should opt out of the program altogether. So, if you're ready to get started, as always, don't be dumb, tap the thumb, let's get right to it. So let's start off with the basics. How does this actually work? So what Webull does is that they lend out your shares to those who are short sellers. Then Webull collects an interest charge of around 3 to 8% or more, and they give you basically 15% of the 8% collected. Mathematically, it's not a whole lot of money. Now, I don't know if you know this, but by law, a broker cannot actually lend out your shares without your consent. However, in the world of those long, annoying terms and conditions, when we sign up for things, you know what we do. We often click right through everything without actually reading it. So most likely, no matter what brokerage you signed up with, you're likely already opted in. So yes, I have opted in to Webull and I have been making some money on the Webull app. So what we're gonna do, let's first dive into the Webull app. I'll show you exactly how much I'm making, how to find if you're making money on this, and what this is really all about. Right here it is. This is my Webull account, and you can see right over here, you're gonna go to the second tab that says P&L. I do gotta say for a second, I'm really excited about the fact in the last 3 months, I've actually far succeeded the Dow Jones Industrial Average at a 76% return. Super excited about that. But here's where you find if your stocks are being lent out. Now, a lot of times what happens, we're long-term holders. A lot of us are here on this channel, right? You buy stocks, you buy shares of stock, and the hope is someday it's gonna go to the moon and then we can profit off of all of that growth. But what they do in the meantime is since you're already paid for, you already own those shares, they turn around, they lend them out to short sellers who try to make a quick buck on them. And don't worry, all of this time, you're not actually like held up to any type of standard. That doesn't mean that you can't sell if you need to sell. That doesn't mean that you're gonna be trapped up into some weird pyramid scheme or anything like that. It just means that Webull's doing this in the meantime. It's kind of the same way almost a savings account works in a sense, where you save up all your money and you're earning interest on that money in the savings account. Meanwhile, the bank is taking your money and they're putting it out into different loans, or they're putting it out into the stock market, or they're doing stuff with it. But you can always withdraw money out of your savings account anytime you want. Same thing here. So in this P&L, we're gonna go down right here to where it says interest income. Do you see that? You're gonna tap on that, and that is going to show you if you have any money coming in from the stock lending program. Now, if not, what you can do is there's a little link located right here on the Webull app. You click on that link and it'll take you over to a little bit of a description about what this is. So you can see not only your daily records, but if you're not enrolled, it will have an option for you to click and enroll in this program if you wish to do so. Now you can also look at the introduction right here, which kind of tells you what I'm telling you here in this video. But let's go back here. You can see that if I go all the way down here, like, okay, first right here at the top, you can see my total interest received, a whopping, exciting, accelerated $2.91. Oh my God, I'm so rich. Let's go all the way to the bottom here. You can see now, back here in April, look at that. I'm making like not even a penny. You see that? 0.0075. And then I got 0.008167. But if I click on it, if I touch that, it pops down. And there I had an ETF PFF. So they must have loaned out PFF to some short sellers, 49, and I got a little bit of interest on that. If I scroll up here, let's see what else is happening. I did make a penny here on 816. Oh, look at that, with a Beachbody stock. Yes, I have bought into Beachbody, not financial advice, but I'm just kind of blown away at the price right now at that. But you can see that they started lending out only 6 shares, but I did earn a penny off of that. And I think this is what happened up here, because there's a lot of people shorting Beachbody, B-O-D-Y, there is a lot of interest in this. So look at this, 826, if I touch on that, look at that, loaned out 200 of my shares of Beachbody. I earned 21 cents in interest that one day. If they're not loaning anything out, you can see there's a gap between 822 and 826. That means you're not making money, they're not making money, there's nothing on loan, whatever. It is what it is. And then that $2.91, that just gets dumped into your cash account within your asset portfolio on the Webull app. And then it's up to you. You can withdraw that if you want to, or you can use it to invest in more shares of stock. If you're not part of Webull and you're still watching this video, by the way, make sure you get your 2 free stocks simply just for signing up and for depositing your first $100 that you can trade in the stock market. Link in the description. Now, let's talk about why this would happen. Why are you making money on this? What is the point of all this? Well, let's talk a little bit about what short selling really means. So the goal of the short seller is, their goal is they want that stock price to go down. And if the stock price goes down, they can make some money. And that's ultimately what Webull is doing. They're lending them shares they don't own so that they can sell them and then eventually buy back and keep the profit. Let me write this down so you can see a little bit of an example. So we have, let's say we're going to sell short, okay? Get excited for this handwriting. Get excited, guys. All right, so we have, let's say 50 shares, okay? This is shares. This is going to be money, and this is going to be the total column, okay? So there we go. All right, so we got 50 shares at, let's say right now it's going for $100 a share, okay? That's what it's going for right now, which means the total value of the 50 shares is $5,000. That's easily 50 shares times 100. So let's say you have 50 shares of company ABC, and then the short seller says, hey, Webull, I'd like to short sell 50 shares. And that's exactly what happens here. They're going to loan out your shares to this person. They're going to do this. They're going to have to pay some interest because they're doing this, okay? But not only Webull, but you'll get a little bit of money as a result. So what they want is they want this price to go down. The goal here is this $100. They want that dropping down to, let's say, $50. That would be ideal, okay? If this goes down to $50, they can then buy back the 50 shares, which means that that's good. They can basically buy back the shares and say, Webull, I satisfied what I needed. Here's the 50 shares back, and I'm out of the game. But look what happens. Because they're buying back at only $50, the total is now $2,500. Check that out. So guess what that means? That means the difference between the two of these, $2,500. So they sold 50 shares, they earned $5,000. They then said, oh, the price dropped. I'm going to buy back the shares. I'm going to now have a difference of $2,500 because I only need to give Webull back $5,000 to satisfy the 50 I borrowed, and then I get to keep the $2,500 minus the interest expense. So let's say it was about an 8% interest charge for them to borrow this amount of money. That would be $400. So they got to take out $400 because they obviously got to pay for the use of what they did here. So that means that the total amount that this short seller is going to profit is $2,100. And I'm going to make this green and go cha-ching. Check that out. So that's what happens. Now that $400, they're going to pass on to you 15% of that $400, and that's what would ultimately happen in this case. Now you may remember the talk about GameStop and AMC and things like that. Well, what happens is if the price goes up, this gets very dangerous. So be careful if you're thinking, hey, what if I could do this and make some extra money? That was an easy $2,100 that he laid out here. Don't let this little writing of chicken scratch throw you off. I got to throw out a big warning here because if you go into this, let's say that all of a sudden Wall Street Bets, in the case of GameStop, starts buying up all these shares, or the company comes out with a huge announcement also sending their share price up. Well, this $100 per share, what happens if that goes up to $200? Okay, so this is now $200. I've made a mess out of this. But what you have to decide now as a short seller is, do I pray to God that by the time the company needs their money back, that this will drop back down below 100 and I can make some money? If it doesn't, I have to cut my losses and basically go into this thing and buy back the shares at a higher price than what I sold it. I'm putting up my own money to make this happen. Yikes. And that's what happens. Now, all these hedge funds, all these guys, we're talking piddly change here. They're transacting millions of dollars. And because they're doing that, they end up saying, hey, I need to dump more money, which actually pushes that stock price higher and higher and higher. And before you know it, we have what we call a short squeeze. Now, you might be asking, well, how would I short a stock on Webull if I wanted to do that? Again, remember my warning. It's a very scary thing, but if you wanted to, if a stock is eligible to be shorted, you will know it is when you see this icon in your Webull app. So once you see that, that means that stock can be shorted. And here's exactly how it works. You select how many shares you want to short, and then you simply select the short option. At that point, you can then execute the trade. But keep in mind, you're now the one paying interest because you're basically borrowing funds from the brokerage on margin, which means you're going to have to pay back more money in interest. But your goal would be that the price will go down and you can ultimately buy back shares for less money and pocket the difference and get to keep that extra money. But again, that has unlimited loss potential. Brokerage can institute what they call a margin call. If a margin call happens, you're in deep crap. That means we want our money back and we want it back now. Figure it out. Scary stuff. The best thing you could do if you want to make an extra buck is turn on the stock lending program. But there's a little bit of a warning, as I promised you. Let's talk about this. There's two things that you need to keep in mind. Whether you should keep this on, or if you're enrolled and you don't want to be, you can unenroll from this program. Now, the interest, as you could see in my example, can range greatly. It depends on the short interest of the particular stocks that you own. You're not going to be a millionaire overnight. This is not going to make you wealthy. You could make more on dividends than you could potentially with this program. So just keep that in mind as your first point. But the bigger warning is there is a problem sometimes when it comes down to dividends. If you are lending out stocks that typically pay a dividend to short sellers through this program, you may not get the qualified dividend. You may instead get what they call cash in lieu. And cash in lieu basically means because your shares are loaned out, you're not going to qualify for the tax benefit of a qualified dividend. Instead, you get this extra cash in lieu. So you got to be careful of that, especially if you own a ton of shares and you get a lot of dividend income. What you need to do is check with your favorite CPA, make sure your taxes are in order. Now, this could not really matter to a lot of people, but if you're somebody that gets a ton of dividend income, if you're a huge dividend investor and you got a lot invested and you're making thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars every year, that could mess up your tax. That's something you got to check into if you're participating in the stock lending program. Now, make sure you check out these two videos next. Make sure you subscribe if you like more. And until next time, we'll see you on the next video.